Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're doing a top 10 regression manhwa, and that means second life chances at getting things right. So let's jump into the top 10. Starting at number 10, we have Volcanic Age, a manhwa that honestly I don't really talk about on this channel almost at all. It follows an older guy that's nearing the end of his life. He was an elder in a clan. He was respected, but never quite made it to what he thought he could be in life. Regrets abound, and particularly when it comes to the ladies. Though I will say this doesn't play a huge role in the earlier parts of the story, it is nonetheless one of the motivating factors of the character's second chance at life. As he does go back and gets his second chance at life, he's able to save his mentor, build relationships he never have, get stronger much younger, and honestly, what I like about Volcanic Age is it's not in a rush. It's giving you good world building. It's building up the character's skills. The relationship and the world are pretty darn good, but still, there's better on this list. At number 9, we have Tomb Raider King. Tomb Raider King follows a protagonist that is, well, betrayed, and, you get that whole reincarnation vibe here. Well, basically, this world is a very interesting one because it's been hit by a certain event that caused these dungeons to open up where there's tons of relics, these magical items that are accessible through going through these mazes and different challenges. They have to do with deities and different things like that. Honestly, if there's something to love about this series, is just the whole pantheon of gods and interesting things going on in this. In particularly, the itemization is super vast. My only thing that I have against it, and the reason it's a little bit lower on this list, is I found it got a little repetitive in its cycle. It's a little bit weird to say this, but around chapter 100, I got a little tired of it. Though I guess to say, if it makes it to chapter 100 before it gets a little repetitive and tiring, that's not so bad all in all. So if you like this one, please do leave a comment down below. I'm curious on your thoughts on what makes you enjoy it so much. At number 8, we have Return of the Legendary Spear Knight. This one is a bit of a roller coaster, I'm not gonna lie, because it had these little moments where it was among my top 5 favorite manhwa for a while, dropped all the way down to something that skipped out of the top 10, and back into it more recently. I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. Main protagonist gets betrayed. This is very common in these second life chances stories. But he gets betrayed by the king that he served because he was too powerful, too strong, too much of a threat to the man that he would become. So he gets his second chance of life, and as a kid, he wrecks house. He has all his memories. He even still has his legendary weapon right from pretty much the beginning, close enough to the beginning, that he's fighting off people way more powerful than any kid should ever have a chance against. But there's a time jump, and I love time jumps in manhwa that get you to a character that's a little bit older, that's facing challenges that are a little bit more, how could I say, relatable, particularly for someone my age. Seeing a 10-year-old facing his challenges isn't quite as relatable as seeing at least a 16, 17, 18-year-old kind of doing it. And he gets a time jump to a character age that I thought was great. But they skipped something where he basically goes to school and becomes this military commander, but they skipped the whole storyline there, and they just come out of everyone respects him, he's the leader of this group, and now you are in a different type of story all of a sudden. It's just weird. It gave a different vibe, and the story just felt like you were reading a different manhwa in a lot of ways, even though same character, same name, same powers. But I will say, after following it for a little while longer, I've gotten back into that vibe and I've really enjoyed it. It's somewhat similar to what Nanomachine did. There's a point where he reaches his objective and it's just not quite as engaging anymore afterwards. But recently, after some time, I found that enjoyment once again. At number 7 is Absolute Sword Sense. Okay, speaking of Nanomachine, Absolute Sword Sense is from the same creator as Nanomachine. And while I will not say that it's as good as Nanomachine, it probably has a bit better storytelling, technically speaking. Nanomachine had a very bare-bones story if you really think about it. But Absolute Sword Sense has just an interesting setup right from the beginning. The protagonist is more or less a slave to the clan that kidnapped him. He finds this magical scroll or item. This happens right at the beginning. He swallows it to hide it, basically, and anyway, he ends up perishing and going back in time. Now, The caveat here is he goes back in time to the exact day that he gets kidnapped. So his whole, I'm going to get a better life, I'm going to escape this situation, I'm not going to have to face this, literally gets kidnapped right away. Almost gets away, but doesn't. And so basically, you get the character kidnapped, but with all the knowledge of what's to come. He understands this evil sect that's pulled him in. And because of that, he's able to manipulate things to his betterment. But I will say, there's situations he faces, he gets beaten up all the time. And he's always testing this fine line, which is going to get him either killed or make him into a future god of this world, basically. So I've really enjoyed it so far. It had a bit of a rough start because the artist or the author that got sick in the first year that it came out, and because of it, it's not quite as advanced as it should be according to when it was released, but it's kind of picked up the pace over the past year, and it's definitely a manhwa that I enjoy quite a bit. At number 6 is Kill the Hero. This one's actually finished now. Kill the Hero follows a protagonist that, well, more than betrayed. He looked up to a character as if he was basically a god among men. He saw this guy as not only a fearless leader, but saw that he was the role model that gave him what he needed as a person that lacked it as an individual. And the betrayal of that was something that didn't just hurt him, but scarred him. So when he comes back in his second life and gets a chance to get revenge on this guy that is a monster, well, he's going to get it. And what I will say is the art of this one is phenomenal. There's one weird thing about this series that I've always found, and tell me in the comments down below, I'm curious if you felt this. It always felt like the series was very cold. The protagonist, even though there was humor, the art made it always feel somewhat cold to me, which is a weird thing to say about a series, but it's just a vibe I got off the series. That being said, great necromancy stuff going on there. The relationship between him and his direct ally is fantastic. He's basically a tank, and it just works. It just works so well, and I've enjoyed it. I will say the ending is somewhat disappointing. I did not find that it lived up to the series that was in it. But that being said, I still think it's worth reading if you haven't already, because it's a great ride all in all. At number 5, we have Doombreaker. Doombreaker is a manhwa that I think most people have probably heard of at this point. Amazing chapter 1, where the character is basically fighting against this demon god thingy that has basically destroyed all of humanity. He's the last fighter left standing against him. He manages to injure him, and then he perishes. But the gods, they enjoy watching, and they enjoy humanity's suffering. So they're going to give you a second chance to entertain them, basically. And I have to say, the series did a great job in that chapter 1, 2, just to build up how much you're going to hate these angel/god characters. They're worse than the demon himself. Yes, he destroyed all of humanity, but he wasn't a dick about it. It's just a setup like that. So he gets back to the real world. He's a slave initially, becomes quite strong quite quickly. But what I find about this one is legitimately the world building is pretty darn good. The questing is solid. The access to items, allies, and things of the sort. I think it's really, really good in this series. And while I don't think it quite lived up to the promise of that chapter 1 or 2, I think it's still an amazing manhwa that will go down as one of the better ones over time. At number 4, we have Infinite Leveling in Muram. I know, I can't stop talking about this manhwa. It's on my last list. What are you gonna do about it? Infinite Leveling in Muram is one of my favorite manhwa. Honestly, right now, in general, just the concept of being able to be sent back in time to get a second chance is always cool. But to have a character that was just this kind of peasant that rose up, got these allies that really trusted him, he became powerful but never quite lived up to the potential that his hard work represented. And that hard work vibe that you get from a lot of manga out there, where they train and become this hard-working genius versus the other that are just born with talent. He's that kind of character, and he does the hard work. And they put a lot of caveats in this series where he's strong, but he has this issue that's against him. Oh, he's strong, but he's gonna fall unconscious after the fight. Or he's strong, but he actually can't get stronger. He can only like get better with items. Anyway, there's a lot of things in this series that make it a little different than your average manhwa. The art style, again, I said it last time, but it can be a hiccup for some people. I don't find it is in my case. I think it's just a really good series all in all. And it's skipped on by many people. I think it's underappreciated as hell. You definitely should be reading it, so check it out. At number 3 is Swordmasters Youngest Son. The fact that I put this at number 3 and when I put Infinite Leveling at Miram in number 4 just shows that right now I'm really enjoying Swordmasters Youngest Son. It's like, maybe it's just because I had waited for chapters to pile up and it's been just a fun ride to read. But Swordmasters Youngest Son follows a character born into a sword-wielding family. Of course, our protagonist is born with no talent, so he's chased away by his family, only to discover a basically relationship with, I don't want to say god, deity, demon thingy, that makes him find out that he was basically poisoned, and that's why he wasn't able to be this sword genius that he could be. So he learns how to use magic. Well, after he, literally seconds after he learns how to, he gets this contract, and seconds after he learns how to use magic, basically, or not right after, right after he learns how to use the sword again, sorry, he dies. Like, literally the seconds. But he's reincarnated, fortunately, and he's reincarnated as a young child where he goes through this period where he's able to kind of push himself into this Runkendell family, which is the name of the family, and into a better position. This family's nuts, by the way. There's just characters in this family that are absolutely insane. If you think of the family in Damn Reincarnation, it's really similar to this. Like, there's these uncles and aunts that are kind of just these overpowered characters, but because of it, it's an interesting dynamic. There's these bully twins that keep getting their butts handed to them time after time, and there's a great time jump that make this a lot better in general. So check it out. At number 2 is Return of the Crazy Demon. Return of the Crazy Demon, I'm sure a lot of you are already reading this one, but if you're not, this is a weird manhwa, guys. And I say weird not because it's an action series, but when they say crazy in the title, they're not kidding. This guy is insane. Like clinically, he is at a just a pin dropping of killing all his subordinates or hugging them, and you feel that threat. And he's a comedic character, but he's not at all at the same time. He's just deranged, and the art is fantastic, and it's just a weird storytelling like mechanism around that. If you think about the rest of the story, it's the most basic story you could possibly think of. He's choosing, he knows he's reincarnated, he's reborn, back in time. He's getting a chance to do this life over again, and he knows who the next strongest opponent's going to be, and he keeps going to fight them. And he's built up this could even be like a world building, like he's a city builder, because he's developed this whole clan around him by threatening people and forcing them to join him at the threat of death. And he's built this really hosh-posh of weird-ass characters to follow him around, and it's just fantastic. I can't deny it's just enjoyable. Check it out. If you haven't checked Return of the Crazy Demon, if nothing else, you might get tired of like the gimmick of him being a little insane, but it's worth it. Check it out. At number 1, kind of a cop-out, is Leveling with the Gods. A lot of people loved this one when it came out, and from what I've heard in the community, a lot of people kind of fell out of love with it. The manhwa is, in my opinion, excellent. It does great world building. Like, the itemization and the gods are, honestly, I can't think of another manhwa that's done a better job, except maybe Solo Max Level Newbie, but I still think the Leveling with the Gods does it better. I don't find the art quite as engaging as Solo Max Level Newbie in this one, but the main character is that standard stoic, I don't talk that much, but I'm this like really powerful character. The only thing that frustrates me about this series is the first chapter, before time is reversed and he goes back in time and gets this second chance, you see him have a group of allies around him that are the people that are going to fight with him against the future gods. And so far, we haven't really seen that allying very much. He has built people that are going to fight alongside him, but they're often not that close by. This is still like a solo adventure mostly. So that kind of annoys me sometimes. Guys, if you like this video, if you like these types of videos, I would love if you could like and comment down below on what you want me to do next.